Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. I should have realized something was off the moment my wife, Mia Chandler, stopped kissing me goodbye in the mornings. It began as small shifts, late night showers, whispered texts she'd tilt her phone to hide, perfume I didn't recognize lingering on her clothes when she claimed she'd been working overtime. At first, I told myself it was stress, that her advertising job was getting to her, that people change and we just needed to reconnect. But deep down, a quiet, sharp instinct in my chest whispered something else. She wasn't mine anymore. One night, I walked into the kitchen and found her sitting at the table with her friends, Jenna and Lila, whispering intensely until they noticed I'd entered. Instantly, the energy shifted. Jenna smirked. Lila raised her brows like she wanted me to leave. And Mia, she acted like I was interrupting something sacred. "Do you need something, Aaron?" she asked, not even attempting to hide her annoyance. The way she said my name felt like an insult. I swallowed the discomfort, just grabbing a drink. They exchanged glances and started laughing. Low, secretive, mocking. The kind of laugh I'd once thought Mia was incapable of directing toward me. Later that night, I heard her phone buzzing on the dresser while she showered. Normally, I'd never touch her phone. I'd been raised to respect privacy. But something inside me, the part still bleeding from months of feeling invisible, ached to know the truth. The screen lit up. A name I didn't recognize. A message preview that made my whole body go numb. "Same time tomorrow. Can't wait to feel you again." My fingertips went cold. My chest tightened. The room spun, but I stayed frozen, gripping the dresser until my knuckles turned white. All the unanswered questions suddenly had answers I never wanted. When she stepped out of the shower, I pretended everything was normal. Instead of confronting her, I started paying attention, watching, listening, tracking the lies she thought I was too naive to catch. And the more I watched, the clearer the truth became. She wasn't hiding an affair. She was confident I'd never find out. Confident I'd never leave. Confident she had full control of our marriage, my emotions, my loyalty. But she underestimated the quiet kind of man. The kind who doesn't explode, doesn't yell, doesn't accuse. The kind who waits, collects truth like weapons, and prepares for a moment she'd never see coming. Over the next week, she grew bolder. She'd walk in late, smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't mine. She'd laugh too loudly at texts she hid the screen from. She'd cancel our plans to help Lila with something, only for Lila to call me the same evening asking where Mia was. Every detail sharpened the betrayal until it carved through whatever love I had left. I planned my revenge quietly, patiently, calculatingly. I learned the name of the man, Colton Reeves, her supervisor, a married supervisor. I built a timeline of their meetings, their late-night rendezvous, their little lies packaged as work duties. I gathered screenshots, call logs, location histories, messages, everything she never dreamed I would have the patience or strength to uncover. By the night, everything changed. I was strangely calm, because I wasn't the same man who walked into that kitchen weeks ago and heard his wife laugh at him with her friends. I was someone who finally understood his worth, someone ready to walk away with dignity and truth instead of begging for scraps of affection. The living room was glowing with warm lamplight when Mia called me in, her tone bossy, impatient. "Aaron, sit down. We need to talk." Her friends, Jenna and Lila, sat on the couch again, wine glasses in hand, smiles sharp and predatory. The atmosphere felt staged, rehearsed, like they had already decided what role I was supposed to play. Mia stood tall, chin lifted, eyes cold. She had no idea I already knew everything. No idea what waited in my backpack by the door. No idea that tonight would be the last time she ever looked at me like I belonged beneath her. And as she opened her mouth to begin whatever speech she had prepared, I knew this was the moment I had been preparing for. This wasn't just revenge. This was freedom. Mia didn't ease into her speech. She launched into it like she practiced in front of a mirror. "Aaron, things need to change," she said, pacing slowly in front of me like some self-appointed judge. "I've been carrying this relationship alone. So from now on, we're doing things my way. If you can't agree, then maybe we just shouldn't continue." Lila and Jenna exchanged a look over their wine glasses. Lila smirked like she was watching a TV show. Jenna lifted her glass and some twisted toast. I stared at my wife and felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. Not heartbreak. Not fear. Relief. Because the moment she said my way, I realized this wasn't a marriage anymore. It was control. Manipulation. Power she thought she owned simply because she believed I'd never push back. I kept my voice low. Calm. Your way. What exactly is your way, Mia? She pulled a folded sheet of paper from her purse and laid on the table between us. A list. Bullet points. Expectations. Rules. It looked like a contract for a prisoner. You need to stop questioning where I go or who I'm with. You need to give me space and stop acting insecure. You need to trust when I'm out late and stop demanding proof of anything. And I want half of our savings in my personal account. Non-negotiable. Jenna giggled. Girl, finally. Lila rolled her eyes dramatically. About time he learned to listen. Their arrogance didn't hurt me anymore. It just confirmed what I'd already learned. Mia had surrounded herself with people who encouraged her worst behavior. I leaned back, letting her believe she still held the upper hand. Let her make a mistake so big the fall would echo. You're really saying this is the only way you'll stay married to me? I asked quietly. She lifted her chin. Yes. Either you follow what I need, or we're done. Her words were sharp, but her confidence was even sharper. She thought she was untouchable. She thought I was still the man who swallowed disrespect just to keep us together. But that man died the moment I opened her phone and saw the first message from Colton Reeves. And she had no idea. I stood slowly, deliberately, watching her eyes flicker in confusion. You know what, Mia? I said softly. I think you're right. Something does need to change. Jenna whispered. Here we go. Lila crossed her arms, waiting for me to crumble. Instead, I reached for my backpack by the door. My heart felt strangely steady. My hands didn't shake. Everything inside me had already settled into place. The truth, the pain, the betrayal, the preparation. Now all I needed to do was reveal what I'd been holding. Mia narrowed her eyes. What are you doing? I unzipped the bag and pulled out a thick envelope. Neatly sealed, prepared with the assistance of a lawyer who had listened to every piece of evidence I collected. Inside were printed screenshots, call logs, date stamps, and one very important document her friends didn't know I had the courage to request: divorce papers. Mia blinked, her expression twisting. What is that? I held it up just enough for her to see. Proof. Jenna leaned forward. Proof of what? Lila's smirk faded in slow motion. I placed the envelope on the table and opened it, letting the first few pages slide out. Messages between Mia and Colton. Messages that left no room for excuses. Missing your hands already. Same time tomorrow? Let's make it longer this time. Tell him you're working late again. Jenna gasped. Lila's jaw dropped. Mia's face drained of color. She staggered a step back, hitting the edge of the table. Aaron, where did you get that? You're not as careful as you thought, I said. And I'm not as blind as you hoped. She looked like someone had pulled the rug from beneath her feet. Her bravado was gone, replaced by panic she could barely swallow. Aaron, it's not what you think. Don't do that. I cut in gently. Don't insult both of us. Jenna stood up abruptly. Mia, is this real? Lila whispered. You told us Aaron was paranoid. Mia's eyes flashed with desperation. I didn't think he'd ever see those. He wasn't supposed to. I pushed the divorce papers forward. Her voice cracked. You're leaving me? You left me long before I ever picked up your phone. The room went silent except for her shaky breathing. The same woman who just minutes earlier set rules for my life now looked helpless, like her world was collapsing in slow motion. I gave you everything, I said softly. Patience, love, trust. You threw it away on someone who didn't even respect you enough to meet anywhere new. He used you, and you used me. Her hands trembled as she touched the papers. Aaron, please don't do this. We can talk. I can explain. I already listened to enough lies, I replied. This is me choosing myself, something you never expected I'd do. Her friends didn't say a word. Their smugness was gone, replaced by disbelief, because the quiet husband wasn't so quiet anymore. Mia whispered, please don't sign this. I looked her dead in the eyes. Mia, it's already signed. She choked on a breath, one hand flying to her mouth as the weight of the truth crushed her composure. The woman who demanded control lost everything in one night. And this was only the beginning. For a full minute, Mia didn't speak. She just stood there, gripping the table like it was the only thing keeping her upright. The bravado had drained from her face, replaced by a terrified realization. Everything she hid, everything she gambled our marriage on, had collapsed in front of her. "Oh, sign it already?" she whispered, almost breathless. "Yes," I answered quietly. "Days ago." Jenna looked between us with a stunned expression. "Mia, you said Aaron was dramatic, that he'd never leave. You said he was too scared of losing you." Mia flinched at her friend's words. I didn't mean it like that. But she did. She meant every word. And I knew it now more than ever. Lila stood slowly from the couch. "We should probably go." For once, her voice didn't have that condescending drip to it. It was cautious, uneasy. They both grabbed their bags and slipped toward the door, avoiding Mia's eyes like she carried a truth that might stain them too. When the door clicked shut behind them, silence settled over the room. Heavy, suffocating, unavoidably real. Mia wiped her cheek with the back of her hand. "Aaron, please. Please sit down. Let's talk like adults." "I'm done talking," I said, lowering myself into the armchair while she remained standing, trembling. She took a step forward. "I messed up. I know I did. But people make mistakes. You're throwing away our whole life over." "Over what?" I interrupted. "Over you meeting your supervisor in hotel rooms. Over you laughing about me behind my back. Over you setting rules for a marriage you weren't even loyal to." Her eyes filled with tears she clearly didn't expect to shed tonight. I was confused. I was stressed. I didn't feel appreciated. "Colton didn't appreciate you," I shot back. "He used you. He let you take all the risks while he stayed safe. I've seen this before. Men like him don't leave their families. They don't build a future with the people they cheat with. They just enjoy the attention." She shook her head slowly. "You don't know him." "I know enough," I replied, reaching into the envelope again. I pulled out another sheet, printouts of Colton's messages to another woman. Another affair. Another set of lies he'd been spreading around his office. Mia's face twisted as she read the first line. "Can't believe she still thinks I'd ever settle down. Some women are just easy to distract." Her lips trembled. "He said that about me?" I nodded. "And here's something else." I slid another page across the table. A screenshot from a coworker who confided in me after I approached her. She told me Colton had bragged about keeping Mia on a leash, using her affection to boost his ego. It broke her. I saw it happen in real time. Her posture collapsed. Her voice cracked. Her hands shook harder than before. "Aaron, I didn't know. I thought. You thought he cared," I said quietly. "But he never did." She sank into the chair across from me. Her tears were slow, heavy, not the dramatic kind she used during arguments. These were different, raw, filled with humiliation she'd never believed she'd experience. "I ruined everything," she whispered into her palms. "I ruined us." "You did." Her breath hitched. "But can we fix it? Can we try? I'll do anything. I'll change my number, quit my job, block him, go to counseling, anything you want. Please just don't end us like this." Her voice cracked on the word end, and for a moment, I felt a tiny ache. Not for her, not anymore, but for the version of us that once existed, before betrayal hollowed her out. "I didn't leave because you made a mistake, Mia," I said. "I'm leaving because you didn't think I was worth honesty. You didn't think I'd ever find out. You didn't think I'd ever choose myself." She covered her face, crying harder. The apartment suddenly felt too small, too filled with memories we could never reclaim. "Can I ask you something?" I said after a long pause. She looked up, eyes red. "Anything. When did you stop loving me?" She opened her mouth, then hesitated. The truth came out in a whisper thinner than paper. "When he made me feel desired." There it was. Not hidden, not softened, just the truth. "And when did you realize he didn't actually want you?" I asked. Her tears stopped for a moment. She swallowed hard. Just now. She wasn't lying. For the first time in months, she wasn't lying. And it was too late. I stood, sliding the signed papers back into the envelope. The sooner we face the consequences of our choices, the sooner we both heal. "Please," she whispered. "Just don't walk out tonight. Stay. At least give me tonight." I shook my head slowly. "I can't. Not after everything." She moved toward me like she wanted to grab my arm, but she stopped herself, finally understanding she no longer had that right. "Aaron, I'm begging you. Don't go." Her voice was small. Fragile. Nothing like the woman who stood tall hours earlier, demanding I follow her rules. I walked toward the door, gripping the handle. Behind me, her voice cracked like glass. Aaron, please, don't leave me alone. I paused, not because I doubted my choice, but because even broken people deserve a moment of acknowledgement before the door closes. You were never alone, I said softly. You just pushed away the one person who loved you enough to stay. And then I stepped into the hallway, leaving behind the life she took for granted. But my revenge, my real revenge, was still ahead of me, and she would feel in a way she never expected. I didn't sleep that night, not because of heartbreak. Those emotions had burned away the moment I saw the messages, but because for the first time in months, I felt something I'd forgotten I could feel. Clarity. I wasn't walking out in confusion, or fear, or humiliation. I walked out with purpose, and that purpose unfolded the very next morning. I had already requested a meeting with Colton Reeves's wife, Madison, days earlier. When I contacted her with the evidence I'd gathered, she didn't scream, she didn't deny, she didn't collapse. She simply said in a calm, clipped voice, "Meet me at the firm tomorrow at 8. Bring everything." Now, standing outside the glass building where both Mia and Colton worked, I felt the bitter December wind cut across my face as Madison approached, poised, composed, wearing a sharp gray coat that matched the steel in her eyes. "You ready?" she asked. "As ready as I'll ever be." We walked inside together, not angrily, not dramatically, with intention. The receptionist recognized Madison instantly and buzzed us through without hesitation. People whispered as we passed, not because of me, but because Madison Reeves never showed up unannounced. When we stepped into the conference room, Colton was already inside, leaning back in a chair like he owned the world, until he saw his wife and me. His confidence shattered. "And Madison, what's going on?" She didn't answer him. She placed the folder I prepared on the table and slid it toward him. "These are your messages," she said. "These are your call logs. These are the hotel receipts your assistant forwarded to me." Colton went pale. "Madison, listen. Don't." She held up a hand. "Just don't." Mia walked in 2 seconds later, holding a coffee, smiling like it was just another morning, until her eyes landed on me, then on Madison, then on the folder. Her coffee nearly slipped from her hand. What is this?" she whispered. Madison's voice remained ice cold. "It's the truth." Mia's eyes flew to me, pleading silently. I didn't speak. Not yet. Madison turned to her husband. "I've already filed the paperwork. You'll be hearing from my attorney this afternoon." Colton's voice cracked. "Madison, please." But she didn't spare him a glance. She then turned to me. "Aaron, thank you for your honesty." Colton stared at me with pure disbelief, because men like him never expect the quiet ones to fight back. And then, I finally spoke. "You shouldn't worry about Madison ruining your career," I said calmly. "You should worry about your company handbook." Colton swallowed. "What?" I placed one final sheet on the table. A copy of the company's non-fraternization policy. The one stating immediate termination for relationships between supervisors and direct reports. Mia gasped softly. Colton staggered backward like the floor had tilted under him. The HR director entered behind us, pale, stiff, already informed by Madison. "A formal investigation will begin today," she said. "Both of you will be placed on leave effective immediately." Mia shook her head, trembling. "No, please. I need this job." Colton grabbed her arm desperately, but she pulled away, horrified that he might drag her down further. For the first time, she saw him clearly. Not as the man she risked her marriage for, but as the man who would never, ever protect her. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. My silence was louder than anything I could have said. As I stepped toward the door, Mia whispered behind me, small, shattered, barely breathing. "Aaron, please don't leave me with this." I paused. Not for her. For closure. "You left yourself with this," I said softly. "All I did was stop carrying the weight you put on me." Her knees buckled as Madison walked past her without a second glance, and I walked out of that building lighter than I'd felt in years. Revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It wasn't cruel. It was simple. I chose myself when she never believed I would.